So here on this table I have the three separate devices that are going to fit in each of Noodle's feet. So each of these is responsible for a different thing that Noodle is going to be able to do. Starting over here on the left, this is his toe apparatus. So if I press down on this ring bit here, toes pop out, go back in. So he's got little retractable hook claws. And this is going to go at the very bottom of each of his feet. Over here on the right is basically a device that's going to allow Noodle to salivate. So this is a food syringe right here, or a feeding syringe, and this is going to have fluid in it. And then down here I have a stepper motor that is going to be in charge of driving the plunger portion of the syringe up and down so that it can excrete a finite amount of juice. And in the middle here, I just printed this adapter, and it holds three of these little individual baby solenoids in place. So I have three of these mounted in a circle on this ring, and on one end I'm going to have a silicone brush, like a baster, mounted so that the baster will pop down out the bottom of his foot in the middle and kind of drool or lick, and then it will go back up. So it'll be like a darting, poking tongue motion. So my goal right now is to get all three of these lovely systems to fit nicely in one package without having to completely redesign everything too much. So the thing that was going to push this part down and actuate the toes was going to be these solenoids here. So they have their little pins, and they were going to push this down. So the solenoids sit right over the toe actuator ring. The next thing I'm going to screw on is the plunger assembly bit. So again, this mounts right above these solenoids, and there's actually capture holes around the outside for the pins of the solenoids themselves. This goes down here through the center hole bit. All the pins get captured, and this mounts in place on the next hole that's on these little popsicle stick parts. Okay, so now that this is built, I can talk about it a little bit more. So I explained exactly what each of the four parts are doing and how they kind of work together to make this complete kind of like detonator looking foot part. Unfortunately, this prototype does not work, and that's because of sort of my oversight with the strength of the solenoids, but I've never used solenoids before, so whatever. So they're in there, you can see them with their little pins, but I did hook one up to the bench power supply the other day and saw what it can actually do, and they don't have a whole lot of force. I don't know if larger solenoids would work or be powerful enough to actuate the toes and the tongue, but there isn't a lot of room left to fit larger solenoids in this bit. So Mark suggested that I use little like DC motors or something just to push them down with a threaded spinny mechanism, kind of like I'm doing up here with the feeding syringe. The one system that isn't included in this prototype is the tongue. So this yellow, gorgeous silicone tongue was going to fit in a 3D printed part like this. So if I can possibly jam this in here, I can show you what I'm talking about. It's a really tight fit, but it fits. So the tongue was gonna fit in something like this with some screws and springs threaded onto the screws in much the same fashion as the toe apparatus thing. And this was going to nestle down in its own separate chamber of receiving holes that are in the base of the toe apparatus piece. And another problem with this whole prototype is that this didn't in fact fit. The silicone baster here at the top is actually slightly too fat to fit through the hole that's left in there, and it catches. I think it fits, but the springs, as you can see, are kind of like hanging off the side of the plastic there. Those were actually, I guess, catching on the wall of the inside of the toe foot, like down there. And it was compressing the tongue inward and preventing the whole thing from sliding up and down inside of the middle of the foot like it was supposed to. So a lot of things were wrong with this, and that's okay. It's a first prototype. But after I make the second one, I'm pretty confident that everything should work the way that it's supposed to. And then it's just a matter of getting this entire like bone structure mechanism inside of something that resembles a noodle. So what I'm probably going to end up doing is creating a like a silicone slipper that is gonna kind of like roll over this like a big jelly sock, and this will just be nestled inside and his feet will become more gummy-like, but he'll still be noodle feet at heart. And that's what's important.